And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of April 9th, 2018 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Brakes are a lot like your conscience. Both let you know when you're on a dangerous path, and gone unheeded can cost you big time. When we come back, I'll tell you the warning signs.
O'Reilly. If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
When it comes to your conscience and your brakes, ignorance is not bliss. So heed these signs of brake failure. Your car pulls to one side when stopping. Brake pedal seems lower than normal. Brakes squeal, chatter, fail to release completely, grab with the least amount of pressure, or require excessive pressure. Like life, today's brakes are complex, with a lot of parts and computerized anti-lock systems. Your job is to recognize your brake's warning signs, then leave repairs to well-equipped pros. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Constant chatter can be annoying coming from a well-meaning friend. But if it's coming from your windshield wipers, chatter's more than irritating. It's dangerous. When I come back, I'll tell you why.
O'Reilly.
If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Since 90% of driving decisions are based on sight, consider wiper chatter caused by flawed blades or windshield film a warning bell. Here's what to do. Inspect blades for tears. If torn, replace. If intact, clean blades with alcohol. Then, straighten wiper arms so that blades and windshield are at a 90-degree angle. Now, clean your windshield. Road grime can easily be removed using soft scrub or Bon-Ami on a damp sponge. No, these household cleaners won't damage your windshield, so scrub away till rinse water sheets off. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Watering plants is like gassing up your car. Both provide fuel. Water for plants to grow and gas for cars to go. But if a little bit's good, is more better? When we come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly.
If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Like Goldilocks suggested, just right is best when watering plants and refueling your car. Like flower pots, don't let gas tanks run completely dry before refueling. Because when your car runs out of gas, debris from your tank is sucked into the engine, causing performance problems and potential repairs. But don't overfill either. Excess fuel flows from your gas tank into a reservoir, but then can be drawn into the engine, causing flooding. So how much gas is just right? 2 clicks of the pump when you're refueling. Remember, 2 clicks only. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Put your thinking caps on. Ready? Which of the following tops the list of inventions people could not live without? Telephone, light bulb, or automobile? The answer may surprise you when we come back.
O'Reilly.
If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
What's nearest and dearest to our hearts? Sorry, Alexander Bell and Ben Franklin. It's the automobile. According to a poll conducted by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the automobile was chosen by 63% of respondents. The light bulb, phone, and TV, in that order, trailed behind our beloved cars. Surprisingly, as much as we depend on our vehicles, we often neglect them. During this season of giving, why not give your car an annual inspection? Then you won't have to live without the invention you can't live without. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. When I say horsepower, what comes to mind? If you think go, you're right. But if you think stop, you're right too. Confused? Don't be. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Horsepower measures muscle, usually thought of in terms of acceleration. But what goes up must come down. Yes, it takes horsepower to stop cars as well. In fact, it takes twice as much energy or horsepower to bring a car to a stop as it does to get the same car up to speed. Now you know why everyday driving, even in cool weather, creates extremely high temperatures within a car's braking system, up to 600 degrees. So to make sure your car's horses have the power to whoa as well as to go, have your brakes checked regularly. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Good morning, folks. Welcome to another edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. 888 Car Clinic is also your toll-free number to call. Hannah will take your calls and put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. Got a great show lined up for you today. And by the way, the Car Care Council, which is a partner of ours and should be top of mind for you, in as much as you can go to carcare.org and download a maintenance schedule for your car. Not only for a car like yours, but your specific car. You can put your VIN number in. It's really made to work. It's user-friendly. I'm almost hesitant to use that word, but it is. It's very intuitive. Videos there, diagrams of, let's say that your shop tells you need brakes or you need a master cylinder. What's a master cylinder? And how many other cylinders are there on the car? If you have a master, well, you obviously have some submasters, right? Well, that's true. The fronts normally are disc and they're calipers, but they're really cylinders. They have pistons and seals, and when you depress the brake pedal, you push pressure, and that pressure applies liquid pressure, which is not compressible, and it pushes the brake lining out against the rotors and or the drums, and that's how the car stops with friction. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When I get back, I'll give you some information about all that's going on, and also more than 20,000 consumers cast their vote for which late-night TV celebrity trusts your car when I come back.
O'Reilly.
If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motorrad, a longtime OE supplier, is the leader in automotive thermostats and fuel and oil coolant caps. Motorrad's state-of-the-art quality control and functional testing systems ensure high-quality, long-lasting products. Motorrad delivers world-class product development, providing all the parts and accessories needed to do the job right the first time, every time. Motorrad offers the best coverage of thermostats and closure caps in the world for virtually any vehicle and engine on or off the road. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. An '04 Suburban with 256,000 miles recently came into the shop with poor fuel mileage, rough idling cold, and just bad overall performance. No fault codes, but the fuel trim was incorrect. Sensors checked okay, no vacuum leaks, and the engine seemed to be in good shape. Great time for a bottle of Berryman B60 high mileage fuel system cleaner and conditioner. Berryman B60 features HEST, or high energy solvent technology, an exclusive formula that ultimately helps dissolve fuel residue and carbon deposits to restore lost power, reduce rough idle and hesitation, and improve overall drivability. The owner reported back that the fuel economy had increased and the rough idle smoothed out. Berryman B60 is Berryman's strongest formula available. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information on Berryman B60 and all the great Berryman products. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle loaded or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I hope that you had a great week. I hope that your automobile is running really well. In our service shop, and for those of you who are not familiar with this program, 27 years I've hosted this program, and for 47 years we celebrated March the 11th actually, of last month, 47 years in automotive service. And I can tell you from points and condensers and straight 2050, straight 30 weight or 2050 oil, which is what we all used to run. It took about 10 years, I guess, for those of us in the industry to get over it. When I say get over it, to get over the fact that multi-viscosity, lighter viscosity oils protect just as well, if not better, and depending on the nature of the beast. And how I say the beast, because the design of the interior of the engine, the clearances, the tolerances, when you use lighter viscosity oil, which I call skinny oil, it travels faster and lubricates more quickly because you can shimmy through those tolerances and get to the far regions of the engine. So a lighter viscosity oil will lubricate faster than a heavier viscosity oil, and to that end, an Indianapolis race car where they run ethanol, straight ethanol, well actually it's 85% ethanol and 15% gasoline, uses a 50 weight oil because those engines turn a lot of RPM, and they're small engines and they use a lot of turbo boost. I mean 3, 4, 5 times, 4 times what we see on the street cars. So the heavy oil that they have to have to sustain that high RPM, constant 10, 12,000 RPM and even higher on Formula One cars, means that they have to have a robust oil. The problem is when you use 50 weight oil, you can't crank the engine, because when you first fire the engine up, until the oil gets to the top of the engine, you could wipe out the camshafts or because of a lack of lubrication. So they preheat the oil. Every Formula One car, if you ever watch the staging lanes, you'll see, and this is true for NASCAR too, but not for the engine, for the differential. You'll see a little box that looks kind of like a small generator, a little square small generator, and inside that box is a heating element, and they have like they have pipes and tubes that that run that oil from the component differential. I'm thinking two different things here at one time. From the differential or the engine, and heat the oil. Or they have a heater coil in the oil reservoir to preheat that oil. That way the engine thinks it's already running. So it doesn't have that cold morning startup. And just for you to know, when you crank your engine up in the morning, don't race the engine up. It'll automatically idle fast, but let it idle fast and then it'll slow itself back down. But let's get back to the Car Care Council, because in the open of the show I mentioned about if you could pick a late night television celebrity to work on your car, there's a good chance that his first name would be, take a guess. Now, Fabio, have you seen this? Have you seen already?
I have seen a clip of it, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, you're disqualified. Okay. So folks, here, folks, let me give you the names of the late night shows: James Corden, Trevor Noah, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Kimmel. So out of all those fellows, which one would you most trust to work on your automobile? And this survey was performed in association with the Car Care Council. And as Rich White, who is the director of the Car Care Council, the executive director, said, April is National Car Care Month. And with trust being a strong determining factor in choosing car maintenance and repair professionals, we thought it would be fun to ask vehicle owners which late-night TV host they would trust most to work on their car. So I'll cut to the chase here. Jimmy Kimmel. And if you would, Fabio, you have that clip?
Yes, I got it.
All right. We're going to run that clip on our Watch Bobby Live now, and you'll see, of course, all you'll see is Jimmy Kimmel. You won't hear him. You'll hear me. But the bottom line is, in order of how they were chosen, Jimmy Kimmel, 27.6%, Jimmy Fallon, 27.4%. Now that's that's, I don't know how many votes, well, 20,000 votes, so that's pretty close. Stephen Colbert, 19.6%, then Trevor Noah at 14.3%, and James Corden at 11.2%. So that's really interesting. Celebrity preferences aside, the Car Care Council recommends asking 6 simple questions to help identify the right auto repair shop to properly care for your car. And your most valuable asset, of course, is one of the most valuable, is your car. So there's some questions, and I thought I would pass those questions along to you, and they are in order of the list from the Car Care Council. Number 1, now think about this. You have a lot of money invested in your car. It's running well. It only has 30,000, or it only has 60,000 miles. So you've had it 2, 3, 4 years, and really, what condition is that vehicle? I mean, you have it serviced regularly. I'm assuming that you do. You should. If you don't, see, if you drive the new off your car, you'd have to put the new back on. So sooner or later, that car will break down unless you keep it maintained. So here's some questions that you can ask of the shop or you ask of yourself. Does the business employ ASE certified technicians? Now, you hear me talking about this at my shop. This is not about my shop, although it is, because it's about any shop that you should choose to work on your one of your most prized possessions. Credentials and affiliations are indicators of professionalism and a management's commitment to training and education. We pay for all of our technicians' education, and we give them the time off. And not only do we pay for the classes at UWF, University of West Florida here, we also continue to pay them their salary while they are away at school. So if they take off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, doesn't matter, they're still on the clock because they are better technicians and they are better employees and they are company people. Number 2, is the shop and customer waiting area clean and organized? Yes, we work on ours every day, but if you're in a service business, this is something for you to think about. Cleanliness and organization are signs of a well-run business. Number 3, are customers greeted and treated in a friendly and respectful manner? Friendly and respectful manner. We do that. I don't know that I do. Well, I do. I'm being facetious now, but the bottom line, I have a lot of fun with my customers. I mean, somebody comes in and said, I had an appointment at 9 o'clock. Just yesterday, a lady walks up to the counter. I'm there with my general manager and service manager, and she walks up to the counter and she says, I had an appointment for 9 o'clock. I look down, it's about 6 minutes to 9. I said, I'm so sorry, ma'am. You're too early. And she looked at me like, who is that guy? And then she realized it was a joke, and automatically we're either friends or she thinks I'm an idiot. But it doesn't matter, because where do you go into a shop where you get humor the first thing out of usually it's like, car repair, root canal, if you know what I mean. Okay, so a simple phone call to the shop to inquire about their services can give you a glimpse of how they treat their customers. Then think about that. You call someone and ask questions. It's like calling the doctor's office to make an appointment. How are you treated? Please hold. And then you come back. We call it terminal hold, and that's another part of our business. Number 4, does the business provide a written estimate? You bet. Always up front. The business should complete a written estimate and request your signature prior to starting any repairs on your car. We don't require a written signature. By law, we should, but but we trust our customers and they trust us. And they know what it's going to take to fix their car before we start the work. Or we've agreed to X amount of money to do our testing and due diligence. Number 5, does the business offer a warranty? Well, yeah, most auto repair businesses offer a warranty on parts and labor, and the warranty is usually in writing or posted in the waiting area, but ours is on our repair order itself. Number 6, and this is from the Car Care Council, does the business have a list of satisfied customers or references that is willing to give you? Well, yeah. So those are 6 items. Satisfied customers and recommendations from family, friends, and neighbors are really helpful in finding a good shop. So that information from the Car Care Council. Hats off to Jimmy Kimmel for being the man. He did say in this clip that years ago he had I think it was an 81 RX. Yeah, it was. He had an 81 RX, and the brakes went out. So he decided he was going to work on it himself, and he went to a local repair place and bought a manual and bought a kit and took the master cylinder off and took it apart and put the new seals in, and it ran fine. So he said, that qualifies him to work on cars. So he got lucky that one time, but that's okay. He does a great job on TV, and the Car Care Council does a great job. And what I'd recommend for you to do is go to carcare.org and get your VIN number. That's the 17 alphanumeric code from your car. It's the certificate of birth and or manufacturer, and put it in the site, and then you can determine how many miles you drive a year and what needs to be done to your car. When I get back from this break, your calls at 888-227-2546. All batteries are not created equal. Don't trust just any battery for your vehicle. An Optima battery has up to 3 times the life of the traditional flooded battery. Optima batteries are constructed with 99.99% pure lead, meaning additional power, quicker recharging, and corrosion resistance. Additionally, each Optima AGM battery is maintenance-free and completely sealed, preventing acid spills. Optima batteries, the ultimate power source. Learn more at OptimaBatteries.com.
I am for the child who lives in motels, cars, and shelters. The child finally put in foster care, a group home, where he sleeps not on a bed, but a temporary cot. That is the child I am for. And because I am, he'll be that much more likely to find a safe, permanent home. I am a court-appointed special advocate volunteer. I am you.
Lift up a child's voice, a child's life. Get involved at casaforchildren.org.
Folks, as winter comes to an end and spring begins, the Car Care Council reminds you that April is National Car Care Month. Time to get your vehicle ready for spring driving and summer road trips. Here are a few things you could consider. Your vehicle's tires keep you rolling down the proverbial highway. A few simple checks help extend tire life, improve MPG, and keep you safe. Start with tread depth. Insert a penny head first into the lowest point of the tire tread. If you see the top of Abe's head, you need new tires. Correct tire pressure is also important, as under or overinflated tires wear unevenly. Improper wheel alignment may not seem vital, but misalignment can shorten tire life and pose safety issues. What are the signs? Pulling to one side and a loose or vibrating steering wheel are common symptoms. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order your free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove box.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your hosts, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. So don't risk and take a risk on a dead battery. O'Reilly Auto Parts provides free battery testing, and if it does need to be replaced, their professional parts people can find the exact battery that fits your car or truck. That's important. And with free installation, that's important. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Okay, 888-227-2546. A little later in the program, we're going to have a special guest on joining us, and this is Mike Brewer and Ant Antstead. Who's Mike and Ant? Can you guess? How many of you out there know who those guys are? They are the co-host of the Wheeler Dealer series on Velocity TV. They're the Brits. And speaking of the Brits, on a local level, the Brits on the Bay, right here in Pensacola, Florida, this month, the 20th and 21st. So check these dates on your calendar and make sure you set aside. And like Saturday morning, of course I'll be on the air, but after the show, I'll probably ease down and to the Bay side and take a look at all the British cars. Brits on the Bay, Pensacola. And it's for more information, go to pbca1.com. And that PBCA stands for Panhandle British Car Association. pbca1.com. So it's a great show, and I even put I don't know if I told you, Fabio, I put my Jag in that show when the second year I had it. I mean, and friends of mine, Pat and Jean, husband and wife, came by and left their car and took my car that morning and parked it. And it was kind of interesting. The challenge with putting your car in a show, folks, is that you don't have a car for that duration. I mean, you can't just park it and then pull it away, because if people did that, then the show would kind of like go away, in the middle of the show. So I was without the car for most of that Saturday, but it was really interesting to walk around and see the new cars, and there were several new cars there, but mostly older cars, and that's really most interesting. If you look at the old car and you look at the older car that's been restored, now that's really something to restore an old car, and that's what Mike and Ant do on Wheeler Dealer. They go out and they buy used cars. And they travel the globe. They'll buy cars in the States. They'll buy cars in California, and in the Brit, in England, and then they'll restore them. So when I talk to Ant and Antstead, he's kind of a neat guy. When I talk to him, I'm going to ask him just how far they go, because I've watched the show. I don't know if you've seen it, not on Velocity, Wheeler Dealers. I've watched the show. And they restore, they repair body work and transmissions, and of course they make it look really easy because you don't see all the work that goes on behind the scenes. But trust me, there's a lot of work that goes on. In other words, they'll pull a transmission and then they'll put it on the bench, and the next thing you know, it's torn down, and then in 2 minutes they've got it showing you the trouble, and they go back together with it. We actually do that in our own shop. And I don't know if you've ever been back into a shop while they're working on your car. Now, granted, a lot of shops don't want you back there, not because they're hiding something, but because of insurance. And that's true. That's true, because, of course, anybody can sue anybody for anything. That doesn't mean it's right. But the chances of you getting hurt in a shop are certainly higher than if you didn't go back in the shop. But if your car is on the rack and it's being inspected, let's say we have digital inspections, then we service the vehicle, and our oil changes they're part of our digital inspection. In other words, we don't offer an oil and filter change. We provide a digital bumper-to-bumper inspection that just so happens to include an oil and filter change, and it's about a 45-minute to an hour service. So if you're hung up on 10-minute oil changes, shame on you, and not shame on the service. Well, yeah, shame on the service for offering a 10-minute oil service. Why? Well, because that's the only time that your car can get inspected under, over, and around. So if you're in a hurry, then you should pick a time when you are not in a hurry, and you can wait on your car and have a trained technician to look at it. Why? Because every 5,000 to 7,000 miles, there's a lot that can happen to that car, and that's the only time that somebody can get under the car. As a rule, it really is. So just think about this. If you had, say, 20,000, 25,000 miles in your car, you've had 4 oil changes, you've been to the 4 fast lube, fast out sort of services, then your car hasn't been checked at 25,000 miles. It hasn't. You can't. I can't inspect mine. It takes me 30 minutes to inspect my car. Well, that's not a lot. You know, just imagine taking your child to a doctor, and, you know, and you make the appointment, you go in and you wait, and then the nurse comes out to get your child, and you sit in the waiting room and you let the child go back in the room. Really? You don't do that. Well, same thing with your car. Maybe not the same thing, but that same mindset. You should be part of that solution. You should be part of what's going on. You should know what they are doing to your automobile. Anyway, I just thought I would toss that out there, and so that you would know that having your car serviced is not all about how fast you can get it in and get it out. Now, granted, it shouldn't take 2 hours to do an oil change, but it should and does require more than 30 minutes to right the car up and to look at it and to road test it, and even to check for the oil leak after you're finished. I mean, you take, you know, it's like sutures on a little different from sutures, but if you sew up your arm, you look at the sutures to make sure that they don't, and then a day later you're still looking at that wound to make sure it's okay. Well, just imagine, put yourself in that same mindset with regard to automotive service, and you know that whatever gets repaired or serviced or open hood surgery, we call it, on your car today, there's got to be follow-up. And just recently we did a motor install on a car, transmission install on a car, and instructed the owner to return it in 500 miles. Did he? No. No, but his father brought the car back in about 1,200 miles later, and we checked it. Now, granted, no problem with it, but this was a transmission that we had put in. It was a used transmission. It came with a warranty that said 500-mile inspection to sustain and maintain the annual, the 12-month warranty on the vehicle. So by all rights, the owner of this vehicle just paid us several $1,000s for this used transmission assembly, lost his year warranty. Now, he didn't, because we'll take care of him. But it just shows you that lack of knowledge, and not lack of care, but lack of knowledge that you, as the owner of a car, have. So if your warranty says 500 miles, make sure you're back there and then in 400, 500, 600 miles. Don't just procrastinate and say, oh, I'll get it back, you know, tomorrow, and then next thing you know, because if you had a problem with that transmission and you look at the mileage on the vehicle since installation, then by all rights, the supplier of that part does not have to warranty that part. So you want to, and of course, when that and if that happens, that's when that relationship with your service shop is really important. And we always give the customer the benefit of the doubt, and we give our vendors the benefit of the doubt. So it kind of puts us in the middle. But you know what? When you came to us for repair, you didn't go to the vendor. You came to us. You came to us for the transmission, or you came to us for the check engine light, or you came to us for whatever. So you're dealing with us. So it doesn't matter where we buy the part from or what their warranty is. It matters what ours is to you. So if you don't feel that way, or you don't have that kind of relationship with your service shop, then you're not getting all of the service that you deserve. And if you feel like you're a number when you go into a service facility, just another number, then that's not a good feeling either, you know. And that's a real issue when you have a lot of vehicles and your car's under warranty. You take it back to a dealer. Sometimes you're made to feel like a number. And I'm not knocking a dealer, because a lot of good friends of mine own dealerships, and the dealerships employ technicians just as we do. The difference is this: The difference is, with a new car, there's a lot less wrong, practically nothing wrong with a new car these days. So when you go in for an oil change, and granted, you may have bought this oil change that came with the car, so yeah, you're going to go back to the dealer. But there are things that must be inspected, like tire tread wear, tire pressure, windshield wiper blades, all of those things that are wearables, brake pads, you know. So how long should they last? Well, it depends. Depends on how you drive. A lot of parts of a car go bad because of the driver's neglect and because of the driver use, of course. I mean, low tires and squealing tires and brakes and all those sorts of things. Now, having said that, I've had some pieces and parts go bad on my car because of the quality of the part. I mean, you know, my car has a completely ruptured driver's side engine mount as we speak, and I've got new ones, but it'll be next week before I have the opportunity to get them installed because we've been really busy this week. But that car has 52,000 miles on it. So am I disappointed that the mount is defective or ruptured? Yes. Did I cause that? Well, maybe. I'm a little heavy-footed from time to time, but really, considering that I had a Viper for 16 years that had 450 horsepower and it never ruptured a motor mount, then what's up with this mount? So I might say, well, what is this? And yeah, it's a 2013 Jag with V8, and it has a lot of power, and I do accelerate briskly from time to time, but that still doesn't mean the mount should be bad. But I will say this: if you have a 2010 through a 2016 Jaguar V8, your water pump will leak on you sooner than later. There is a change in the manufacturing design of the water pump. So if you drive one of those cars, you need to have it inspected, have the cooling system inspected. Okay, so Mike and Ant are in the queue, and they're on the phone. When we come back from the break, I'm going to ask them some questions about their Wheeler Dealers show. So don't go away. In the meantime, now's a good time for you to get in at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you're going to love us when I come back.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside, and know there's true strength on the inside.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And folks, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Get ready to call 888 Car Clinic and let's talk about your car. But first, to our Wheeler dealer guest. On the Car Clinic hotline with me now are Mike Brewer and Ant Anstead, co-host of Wheeler Dealers on Velocity TV. From their Southern California shop, auto valuation expert Mike Brewer and master mechanic Ant Anstead, and this guy's really great, both of them are. They go to work finding, fixing, and flipping a wide variety of unique used cars from all over the world, literally. On every Wheeler Dealers episode, Mike hunts for a decent car at the right price, scouring classifieds, internet auctions, specialist clubs and garages before brokering a deal, and then diagnoses problems and conducts an expert how-to session for viewers as he repairs any issues and makes the car like new. When the repairs are complete, Mike and Ant road test the revamped ride before selling the vehicle to the next best owner, who will really appreciate it for all it's worth. So having said all that, I want to welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, Mike and Ant. Guys, glad to have you in the house.
Nice to be here. Great introduction.
Well, you know, it's kind of hard to follow an introduction, but I'm sure you'll handle it. So let's first go with Mike. Share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers what to look for when buying a used car, because you're the man.
Okay, well, if you're buying just a general used car, you want to make sure that you've got some mechanical knowledge or understanding. If you don't, make sure that you take somebody with you who has. And if you can't find anyone, you can pay a service, so pay a mechanic locally to come and look at the car with you. I mean, that's good standing whether you're buying a car that's just even 2 years old or a car that's 102 years of age. You know, make sure that you've got some kind of mechanical understanding before you set out to buy it. A car is likely to be the second most expensive purchase you're ever going to make in your life after a house. So make sure you take your time, be careful. Both me and Ant, even with our wealth of experience, we both spend a lot of time researching car groups and car clubs and car forums before we venture into the road of buying a certain car, because it's in those places online that you're going to find the information to look out for. So, where a car would rust or rot or the problems, the indicative problems that car would have. And some people have already been through that process and they're willing to share that information with you online. You can find it either through videos on YouTube or through social media forums, and it's a real good source of valuable information, and we lean upon that all the time before we venture into the cars that we buy on the show.
So Mike, you certainly had lots of experience with this one too. Folks that are listening maybe haven't had that experience and they're not well schooled. How do you negotiate the best price?
Well, you've just got to be armed with information. If you can turn up to go and see a vehicle that you're interested in your local area, don't just turn up to go and see it without looking at vehicles that are similar, that are advertised internationally or nationally, because you may see one that's a lot cheaper but is far away. So just be armed with that information. And when you turn up to see the vehicle, you can always use that information to drive down the price of the car you're looking at. And when you're looking at the car in a garage or on somebody's driveway, you're always trying to find a reason to get something off the car. Now, most people expect probably the car business or the second-hand car business is the only business in the world where it's expected that you're to barter and you're to get money off. I can't think of you don't go in a restaurant and somebody says there's your $5.99 burger, and you say to them, will you take $4 for it? It just simply doesn't happen. But it's expected to happen in the used car business. So most people expect that there's going to be some kind of haggle, some kind of negotiation. But if you can arm yourself with just be information rich, just have some knowledge, and you should be able to drive the price down a bit.
So Mike, just one last question before I go to Ant. Are there any cars that have the best profit potential?
Yes, at the moment, the world is going through a little bit of a shift change. We are looking at the prices of the higher-end cars, the $20 million Ferraris and Aston Martins. They're starting to take a little bit of a tumble. But the mid-sector cars, the cars that are really interesting, European classics, particularly here in America, are making very, very strong money at the moment, really good, solid potential investment opportunities there. And, of course, people are always going to be looking for those fast forwards like Mustangs, like any kind of pickup truck, a Ford F1 pickup truck. They're still doing very good numbers. So that sort of basis of the collector car or classic car world is still on the ascent. But anything that's got a GT badge or a racing badge attached to it is doing particularly well at the moment.
Sounds good. We're talking with Mike Brewer, and next up is Ant Anstead. These are co-hosts of Wheeler Dealers on Velocity TV. So, Ant, let's shift gears and come over to you. I received tons of calls from listeners and viewers across the country and the globe, really, on how to get and keep a used car roadworthy and extend its life, which is my expertise as well. But I'd like for you to share with our listeners some things that you recommend.
Well, this is, it's a hot topic because there's loads of car fans out there that have cars, and this is something that Mike and I rave about all the time. Cars are supposed to be driven. It's frustrating when you see these classic cars parked up on bricks, under covers. Get your car out, put it on the road and drive it. They thrive on being used, and often if you don't use it, you're going to cause problems. And yes, there's the kind of annual service stuff that you can do at home. You can change the oil, change the fluids, check the brakes. They're all fairly basic tasks, but the biggest message that Mike and I would both give any car owner is get your car out, get behind the wheel, and give it some beans.
So, Ant, I know that you and Mike have to be really excited for the new season on Wheeler Dealers, which starts next Wednesday, folks. This coming Wednesday, April the 11th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Velocity Network and also MotorTrend.com. So, guys, tell Car Clinic listeners and viewers about some of the season's flipping rides that you've already have in the can.
Well, we can tell you that we've gone for a real eclectic mix this time with me and Ant, and if you're fortunate enough to have the internet, you can actually watch the first show right now because it's premiering on motortrends.com, which is a new service that we're offering through Velocity Channel, which is basically a way that you can watch the shows before anybody else. And that starts off with a 1969 Opel GT. We'll then move on to an 88 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, a car that's one of the very first luxury SUVs out there. We've got a modern classic, a 2004 Mini Cooper S. We went for a special edition MC40. An Alfa Romeo Spider, a 1970 International Harvester Scout. We reset the clock on Wheeler Dealers, looking at the very first car we ever did 15 long years ago, a Porsche 924, and we revisit that. We look at the rising popularity in these little Japanese classics, which is the 1972 Datsun 510. And, of course, we've had this on the list for many, many years, but Ant was desperate to get his hands on one, and we're so pleased we did. It's the amazing Lancia Fulvia from 1972, and we drove that yesterday, and it was a thrill.
Well, that's an unbelievable list. You talk about eclectic automobiles, from a 69 Opel GT to an International Harvester Scout, which, by the way, was kind of a neat automobile. So, Ant, in closing, let me ask you one more question. When you take an engine apart, and I've seen you take lots of engines apart, oil leaks and those sorts of things, do you find sometimes it's difficult to know when to stop? In other words, if you get into the motor and you replace camshaft and lifters, how much deeper do you go? And, it's a question of how much do you want to restore to like new, or what is acceptable in the way it's ride? How do you determine how deeply to go into an engine repair?
Well, first of all, you can make a decision with your head or your heart, and very often I get carried away with my heart. I just keep going and going and going, and the next thing I know, I've completely rebuilt the engine. But do you know what? It's about viability. It's about at what point is your work affordable? And yes, you can throw a load of cash at a car and make it amazing, but actually, most people's car projects are done within a budget. So it has to be a sort of a balance of finding it's within your wallet and at the same time finding out what the car needs. So you've got, each car's unique. You've got to draw the line somewhere, and don't do what I often do and get carried away.
Well, that was a personal question because I've been there and done that, and it is your heart or your wallet, and somewhere along the line you have to draw the line. And I think that the best way for me to go forward and our listeners is to tune in to Wheeler Dealers on Velocity TV. And folks, that's next Wednesday, April the 11th. And also, it's really cool that you're on motortrend.com. I want to thank both of you. Mike, great to talk with you at Voice to Voice. And Ant, I'd love to have you guys to visit the Gulf Coast of Florida when you have an opportunity to come and see our shop and maybe do a live broadcast right here from the Car Clinic studios that we say is from the center of the automotive universe. I really appreciate you guys coming in. Look forward to meeting you face-to-face one day.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
And there you have it. Again, motortrend.com. You can download their show now and see it. Or if you want to wait till it's on TV, then check your local listings on Velocity next Wednesday, April the 11th. Let's go to Arizona, take a call from Susan, and also let me share the number with you. So plenty of time left, 888-227-2546. Susan, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you.
How are you today, and what can I do for you?
I'm doing good, thank you. I have a 2014 Jeep Cherokee.
Okay.
And since I bought it new. It has been to the dealer for transmission issues probably a dozen times for the same major issue. And I still don't have it fixed. I have had the transmission replaced in 2016 totally, and it still continues to, whatever the problem is, still continues with the new transmission.
Do they agree? Have you ridden with a technician at the dealership, and do they agree there's a problem? Same problem. Do they understand that the problem's still there?
Well, sometimes I will take it in, and they will say that they didn't feel or see or hear whatever it is, and they do an update or they do nothing, and then I take it back. The most recent time, a couple months ago, I took it in. They did feel it, and they found, they said it was motor mounts, though, and everything I was feeling it moved, but that's not what I'm feeling because they fixed that, and it's still doing the same thing. So I have not ridden with anybody. So.
Well, that's what has to be done. And Susan, what I would do, now a quick question. Is this issue that you're having or the complaint that you have with the transmission, does that happen every day or is it erratic in its operation?
Oh, no, every day.
Okay. All right. So here's what I'd like for you to do. Specifically, the next time this, which is today, but over the weekend, drive it on a certain road at a certain speed and make it and aggravate that situation. In other words, if it doesn't shift properly going from 25 to 40 miles per hour, slow down and go 25 to 40, even if you have to do it a dozen times on some back road until you get to the point to where you can make this vehicle do whatever it's doing that it's not supposed to be doing at will. In other words, so then you go to the dealer on Monday, and I would recommend that you call and make an appointment, and I would recommend that you wait until after 10 a.m. in the morning so that the dealer can get through that morning rush of cars that, as a rule, come in on Mondays that either break or leak or something over the weekend. So, or Tuesday, whatever is convenient, but you want to make it convenient for them so you get their attention. Now, having said that, when you go to the dealership, don't give them the keys and let them drive the car and check your car. You drive the car and you take a technician for a ride. And now you've got another pair of educated, trained eyes in the car and ears, and you take that person out and you drive the car and boom, boom, it shifts funky and it's not doing right and or whatever. and whether it's the transmission or not, or the engine, or doesn't matter, because you're showing this person what your car is doing that you don't like. And that person then says, oh, I get that. Now you're on the same page. And, you know, you shouldn't have to do that, but I know that in the long run, it is a time saver. It certainly removes some of the, or eliminates some of the, or reduces is a better word, some of the frustration with having your car in and in and in and in. And I'll tell you, Susan, we get cars that won't do with us or for us what they're doing with the customer. And we've got one red pickup truck that's been here, I don't know, 4 times, and it's not supposed to start, you know, but it starts every morning. Every morning it starts. But sure enough, we give it back to the customer. We get a call Monday morning. Hey, I don't know, the car didn't start this morning. What do I do? So they even had a wrecker, called a wrecker, and the wrecker guy got there. The car started, and so he wouldn't tow the car. So they drove it in. I said all that to say that is a way for you to go from where you are to the next step. And the next step is to try to get this fixed and get over with. Any questions as we close the show out? Any quick last questions?
No, I appreciate the suggestion.
Okay, do that, and make sure. And one last thing before I let you go, this is important. Once you make this car do whatever it is you don't like, and that person that's from the dealership agrees, pull over, let that person drive. Now that person can duplicate the problem. What this means is that when you leave the car and he repairs the car, he can go out and do the same test to see if the duplication makes this same, you know, ugly head rear. And if it doesn't, then you can more or less be assured that, oh, he found it, he fixed it, he tested it, because he went out and drove it just like I drove it, like we drove it when I did. And folks, and Susan, thanks for your call. That's the way that you can get on the same page with your car doctor. And I'm Bobby Likis. Thanks for tuning in this hour. Another great hour coming up after the break at the top of the hour. Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Berryman's B12 Chem Tool features HEST, or High Energy Solvent Technology, which helps maximize one-tank cleanup of intake valves, fuel injectors, carburetors, and combustion chambers. But don't take our word for it. According to Kirtland, Berryman B12 Chem Tool is an essential tool for all my engine needs. I keep a can around to keep the carbs clean on my tractor, lawnmowers, and especially my 68 Camaro. This is an awesome product. You can learn more about Berryman products and their HEST technology at berrymanproducts.com.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Gluck sedan with like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Ride along with me for the next hour or so, and if you have a car question, such as Alan from New York is already in the queue, load up early. That way, when we get to the end of this hour, I'll be able to have helped more of you with your car challenges. So Hannah will take your call at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546, 227-2546, and put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by the Car Care Council, reminding you that April, this month, is National Car Care Month. You can visit carcare.org for fantastic tools and tips and videos and service schedules and a whole lot more that will help you to keep your car running not only young, but running more efficiently and for less cost. And that's really what it's all about. What does it take to keep your car running for a longer period of time? I want to also, I'm proud to say that Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. And you can learn more about their products and the industry-leading application coverage at motorradusa.com. That's motorradusa.com. Your calls when I come back, 888-227-2546. We recently sat down with Johnson Controls Global Brand Manager Joe Meyer to discuss the advantages of AGM batteries. Joe touched on why many of today's vehicles are better suited for this technology. Let's hear from Joe.
Certain attributes that make your vehicle a good candidate for an AGM battery really depend on the electrical demands that are placed on the battery within your vehicle, as well as potentially the vehicle application, such as start-stop. Most vehicles manufactured in recent years actually contain more than 150 electrical accessories, including backup cameras, navigation systems, even power windows, which are part of our everyday lives. Our AGM batteries are manufactured to meet these electrical demands. Additionally, if you have something in your car such as start-stop technology, you need an AGM battery to help ensure you are effectively powering your vehicle during the stop event.
Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries, which are precision engineered to meet the electrical demands we put on today's vehicles. Learn more at autobatteries.com. Talking tunes. No, not the ones on your radio. The ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer without even popping the hood. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. We recently sat down with Jim McGinn, Vice President of Marketing for Power Tech. Jim touched on another benefit associated with automotive tuning and efficiency. Let's hear how tuning your vehicle can lead to increased fuel economy.
Superchips tuning essentially increases your vehicle's timing. It allows the truck or the car, the SUV or Jeep to run in a higher gear, and it improves the process which we call atomization, which is essentially it turns bulk liquid into spray, and when you achieve this, you increase fuel pressure and you increase your fuel economy. So as a result, you can run the vehicle in a higher gear with advanced timing, and you get a more complete burn. We've done extensive road and dyno testing to validate these claims, and it really impacts the bottom line for the consumer with the Superchips Flashpack.
Find your perfect tune at superchips.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I want to welcome KDET, a new car clinic affiliate. KDET is 9:30 a.m. live, local, and reaching out in Center, Texas. So a shout out to KDET General Manager Lori Alvis and to the Rockin' Program Director Jesse James. Okay, Jesse Jacobs. I'll call him Jesse James if I please. We're mighty proud to be on your air, folks, there. And for all of you KDET listeners, you can call me from 10 till noon Eastern Time every Saturday morning. Although this program that you're listening to right now, if you're listening to it Saturday afternoon, we've already broadcast because we're live 10 till noon Eastern Time. But you can call 888 Car Clinic between 10 and noon and get your question answered. Then you can listen a little later on in the day and find your question and listen to yourself on the air. Let's go to New York, take a call from Alan, and then open the phones for your calls at 888-227-2546. Alan, you called in early. Thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What can I do for you?
I have a 94 Corvette, and I'm having a problem with a leaky master cylinder around the sensor wires. It's a car I recently bought in October. I haven't driven a lot. So last week I was driving it, and the brake fluid, I got a brake light, and I opened the hood. It was smoking a little bit, and it was dripping brake fluid. And by the time I got home, I was almost out of pedals.
Wow. So is it leaking from the reservoir?
Yeah, there's a little plug right under the master cylinder.
Right.
And it seems to be leaking right around there, yeah.
Well, that's either a brake light switch or, well, if it's on the master cylinder, it won't be a reservoir or a level switch, because the level switch is mounted on the plastic reservoir on the top of the master cylinder. But if that is a hydraulic switch, then you can just replace that switch.
Okay.
And in other words, Alan, and different cars have different structural, layouts, so that's why I don't know exactly what that switch is, but it's either a brake light switch or it's a pressure switch of some sort. So it's really odd that it would be leaking, but if it is, you definitely want to replace that switch. One of the things that you want to do is clean the contacts when you do replace the switch, because that's brake fluid and it will soften the coating of the wires and the insulation. But because brake fluid is hygroscopic, which means it mixes with water, you don't use any other compound but just plain water to clean that wire off, because that will dissolve and flush away whatever fluid is on there. And then what I like to do is, of course, we use like a white lube, which is really great stuff. But whatever you have in your garage at home, you can use some kind of a paste electrical contact, and then that will make sure that the new switch and the old wire stay in contact, and that will take care of it. Do the brakes, other than the fact that you're losing fluid, the brakes work okay?
They worked fine before, yeah. I just bought the car last October. I've probably driven it 700 miles.
Yeah. Yeah, well, obviously not your primary driver. How many miles on it? How many miles on this 94?
Just turned 40,000.
Wow. Wow. Where did you find that car?
Yeah. I found it in Atlanta, Georgia.
And how did you go about, did you want specifically a 94 Corvette?
Well, I really wanted a C5, but I saw the C4, and it's sort of a rare color.
Right.
Copper color, and they only made 116 that color.
Wow.
So it was in such great shape, I just had to buy it.
So what have you done to that car to ensure that it is in great shape since you bought it?
I took it to a friend of mine who owns a garage and had him look it over, everything over on it. And he owns 3 Corvettes also.
Oh, great.
And, yeah. And he did a visual inspection for me, checked all the belts and the tires, got brand new tires on, checked the brakes. So I had him do a visual inspection.
Well, it sounds to me like you've got a handle on it. So for sure, I would have thought that he would have you replace all of the fluids in the automobile, like the brake fluid and the transmission fluid and the differential and the engine and the cooling system, because any used car, especially a '94 model automobile, the fluids that's the easiest to replace. You get the biggest bang for the buck by maintaining the fluids in the vehicle. So you might want to talk with him about that and get him to go through the vehicle bumper to bumper and replace the fluids to make sure that you have a starting point. Do you understand where I'm going?
Absolutely. In fact, I had that conversation last week, and I'm going to take it in on Monday.
Okay, good.
And have him just change all the fluids, plus the radiator.
Yes, sir.
Check all the belts, make sure there's no cracks on any of the belts or anything.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks so much for your call, and congratulations on finding the car that you really wanted to find, or at least one that filled the bill for you.
Well, thank you very much for taking my call.
You're welcome, Alan. Bye-bye now. See you. 888-227-2546. We go to Nebraska and take a call from Al. Al, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Hi, good morning, Bobby. We had you down here in Kearney a long time ago, and I got to meet you in person. And however, I just wanted to reach out to you today.
Okay.
I've got an opportunity to buy a 2015 Audi Q5. It's got that TDI diesel in it. It's a 3.0 liter.
Right.
And it's got 5,200 miles on it. I just wanted to get your opinion of that engine.
Well, Audi makes high-performance vehicles, bumper to bumper. They drive. They're taut. They perform. They stop. They start. They steer. One of the only reservation that I have is the TDI engine, and pardon me, and because they have a propensity to build carbon. So if you'll exercise that vehicle and drive it more briskly, it will last longer than if you just, drive it around town there in Kearney at normal speed. So when you're going onto the on-ramp on the interstate, then, nail it and let it RPM. It likes that. And then also, because that is a TDI, you probably would do well to have a local shop there in Kearney, or a shop of your choice, to perform what I call a lung or injection cleaning service. And by that I'm saying the emissions of that engine and the oil vapors that accumulate in the lungs of that engine are the only thing that comes to mind to me that is a detriment. Now, not because it's an Audi, because a lot of diesel engines, and Ford especially, the EGR valves on Fords, you can't believe the emissions and how those emissions that give problems a lot of times, because people don't know to service them, because the car runs fine, and then it gets to the point where the check engine light comes on. But I don't have any reservations about that vehicle at all. I would change the oil in it no more than 7,500 miles. Always use synthetic oil.
Okay.
I would do the induction system service at the latest every 30,000 miles. No later than 30,000 miles. And if you only drive 5,000 miles a year, I would do it every couple of years. How many miles do you drive a year?
This car will probably get driven about 12,000 miles a year.
Okay, then I would say every 2 years, have a local shop perform an induction system cleaning service to keep the lungs of that engine out, because those engines, as any diesel engine does, do carbon up and need to be cleaned out. And there's no, see, the fuel goes directly into the cylinder. So all the passageways, the lungs of the engine, the intake part of the engine has a mixture of, if it has EGR system, exhaust gas, particulate, and oil vapors from the positive crankcase system, and that's where that gives a problem. Other than that, those cars are bulletproof. They really are. Now, had this car had 115,000 miles and was 10 years old, I'd steer you away from the car.
Yeah.
Because
well,
as they get,
it only has 5,200 miles on it, so
you would be hard pressed, Al, to find any car with 5,000 miles on it today. I mean, I say today, from 2015 and up, 2010 and up, that would not be a good buy, because 5,000 miles is like practically 0 miles, and this is what year did you say the car was? 15?
It's 2015, right?
Wow. Well, I presume it's been sitting in a garage and not being driven much there. Did you buy it in Kearney?
Well, no, it's actually a dealership in Omaha, Nebraska, and I think they had those issues with, I don't know if with the emissions or what it was with the diesels, and then they they couldn't sell that car, so actually they had 4 of them down there when I was looking over the last week. So
you can take advantage.
This is the one that I brought back to Kearney just to try it out.
Well, you can take advantage of the fact that that you're right, because a lot of people that owned those cars when VW got caught and Audi was part of that deal, they came to me and I asked someone. He said, "Well, I'm not letting the dealer touch my car. I don't want them to touch it." So you are the recipient of a good deal. So congratulations. More calls coming up when I come back, folks. Don't touch that dial.
I am for the child who lives in motels, cars, and shelters. I am for him. The child who was finally put in foster care, a group home, where everything he owns is kept in a plastic garbage bag, as black as the tar heroin that killed his dad. I am for that child. So I am there for that child. To listen to him, to speak for him, to champion without compromise what's in his best interest. Because if I am, he will be half as likely to languish in foster care and that much more likely to find a safe, permanent home. That is the child I am for. I am a court-appointed special advocate volunteer. I am you.
Lift up a child's voice, a child's life. Get involved at casaforchildren.org.
Folks, cold winters can cause batteries to lose their cold cranking amps and ability to start a vehicle. Make sure you have your battery tested and, if needed, replaced with an AGM. AGM batteries maintain more charge over time, better suited for start-stop systems, and if your battery tests low, make sure you check the alternator as well. An extreme cold followed by extreme heat can diminish battery life. Frequently jump-starting your battery or letting a vehicle just sit idle for days at a time can also slowly reduce your battery's power and effectiveness, risking a dead battery. The Bosch S6 high-performance AGM battery is more resilient to the constant demands of start-stop systems and vehicles with high electronic demands. If you're like me, always charging multiple devices, listening to the radio, enjoying all the technology and electronics in your vehicle, upgrading your battery to a Bosch AGM unit is a must-do to keep your vehicle running at its best and ensure you have battery power, always. To find an AGM battery for your vehicle, go to BoschAutoParts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question, if you have a car question, it's better to ask me than to wait until you go to your service shop. That way you won't feel like you don't know what you're asking. Does that make sense? And if it doesn't make sense, you wait till you take your car into a shop and you don't know the question to ask. Then you'll be in a position to say, gosh, I wish I had called Bobby and asked him. Now, I don't know all the answers, folks, but what I can give you are buzzwords that will help you to better understand how your car operates. Why? So that when you go to a service shop, you'll know the right question to ask and you can interact with that individual. Let's go to Oregon and take a call from Tim. Tim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bobby, I love your show, man. I try to catch it every week.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that, man.
I recently developed a blown head gasket in my 91 Ford Ranger. It's an older truck, but it went right through DEQ within the last year. They said I had great numbers. I just really enjoy the truck. It's very economical, the whole thing. It's the six-cylinder 2.9.
Okay.
Now, my question for you is, this happened very recently and quickly. The engine was always so quiet, but then I started developing this sound, and I checked the oil, and it's got the evil water oil mix going there. And so I essentially got it home, and I've been questioning people about it and stuff, and just kind of getting some ideas. But essentially, I'm sure it has a blown head gasket, and now it's got some real noise issues going just over the course of a day and a half. And my question is, from your knowledge, something like that, is it more economical to have somebody tear into the engine and repair the blown head gasket, et cetera, or to just find another used engine and put it in as a replacement?
That's a question that can only be answered, and that's a great question, Tim. I'm glad you called me, but here's what has to be done first. There has to be enough investigation to determine if it's an internal head gasket, or it could be something so simple. A noise aside, let's put the noise aside. That disturbs me, and I'm concerned about that for you. But with regard to the water in the oil, obviously there's a leak internally because those two fluids should never mingle. But you can have an intake manifold gasket, because water travels through the intake manifold, and the manifold seals the oil galley underneath its, the V6 there. So you could have an intake manifold that would cause water. You could have an intake casting crack or porosity. So there are a lot of reasons that water could be in the oil. Coolant could be in the oil, other than head gasket. Now, having said that, here's the challenge and my concern for you. You take it to a shop and say, I'd like for you to investigate this, and then they take the engine apart. Now you're relegated to have them fix the shop. I mean, the car's on the operating table, more or less, if you think of it that way, and they've got it torn down. So you're at their mercy with regard to what next steps, because if they say, okay, it's going to be $5,000, and you say, well, I don't think the truck's worth $5,000. It may well be worth $5,000 to you over the long haul, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But you may want to buy some time. You may not be ready to do this at the time, and you may feel like, well, gosh, I wish I had known this ahead of time. So you really need to know more about what's wrong internally. Now, having said that, if you had called me last week and you had no noise, then I would have recommended a stop leak, because I use K-Seal, and it's a fantastic product, and this is a perfect opportunity for you as an owner to use a stop leak in the cooling system. Having said that, and it's a permanent fix, but K-Seal is a great product, but you have a noise factor. So there may be internal damage that's already occurred that, of course, takes mechanical replacement parts to fix. Help me to understand and describe the noise for me.
Boy, well, it's kind of funny because, once again, this was the quietest truck engine I've ever had.
Right. Yeah, they're great engines.
Oh, they really are. And essentially, I hauled some weight in it, but I've hauled weight in it before, no big deal. And I noticed then losing the coolant a little bit, so I was keeping the coolant and water in there, whatever. So just over the course of like, say, 20, 30 minutes, I drove up to a business, and it just started making, you know, the more sound, and it got louder and louder. And then eventually I just nursed it home, and it's been sitting in the house ever since then. But I've started up since then, and once again, it runs. It runs fine. It's not like where it won't. The engine is so badly damaged it won't even turn over or start.
Right.
It certainly runs, but I can't determine whether it's, you know, top end or lower end noise.
Yeah, right.
It's just shocking that they went from quiet to really, really loud.
Well, let me say.
Not necessarily.
Let me say this:
slapping cylinders, but just where it just, you know, and it just freaks me out to even have it running.
So think about that. The speed of a rocker arm is faster than the speed of a piston. A piston, like a rod knock, you know, which would be the kiss of death, and I'd say replace the engine, period. Don't even go in there. If it had a, you know, you accelerate in that rod knock. But if it's got a tick, 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 that could be a rocker arm or a lifter that is because of the condensation. Well, condensation, no, because of the pure water that's in there, the coolant, and it stopped up the oil galley, and it's disrupted the little small tiny orifices in a lifter. So what you could do is you could take a mechanic's stethoscope. This is what you can do temporarily, okay, so that you'll have a little more information, and because you need to, this has to be a stepped process. So the first thing you want to do is go to a parts store and buy a mechanic's stethoscope, and it looks just like a doctor's stethoscope, except it has a metal probe on the end of it. And crank the engine, let it idle, and touch the valve cover. And you can go to one cover or the other. And if it's a rod or a bottom end, it's going to be the same on either side. But if it's a lifter, whichever side it is on is going to be louder. So you'll hear it on the side where it's not, because it'll transfer the noise, tick, 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 tick. But if you go to the noise where it is, you'll get this, you'll really get that tick. And then you'll have a better idea, and also the speed of it. When you ease the engine up, it's going to tick. The speed of it and the relevant to the RPM is where maybe a trained ear could help you. I mean, if you had the phone next to it, and I could listen to it and tell you. But the bottom line, so you get a local technician to listen to it, because ultimately, here's what you could do. If it's determined that you're going to have to replace the engine, then you could drain the oil, flush the engine. How do you flush the engine? Well, you can use a flushing agent, or you can put 3 quarts or 3.5 quarts of regular oil, crank it up and run it, and then dump that out, and do it again and dump that out, and then put a new filter and new oil, and then put a stop leak in it and drive it with a stop leak. And if it solves the problem and it goes a year, you've gotten another year out of the vehicle. So that is one option. That's a hopeful option, and for that end, I would recommend the K-Seal, which I would use in this particular case, because this is a lot of money to replace the engine. Now, ultimately, if you have to replace the engine, you want to buy an engine from a recycler that gives you a year's warranty on the engine. Don't look for the best deal. Look for someone that has an engine that he or knows is good enough that they'll, and you'll pay a couple of extra $100. Well, that's no big deal if you amortize that over the cost of repair. And yeah, the 2.9 was a good. They did have some cam bearing issues, and the cam bearing would twist, and it would stop the flow of oil, and that was on the 2.9, I'm thinking, which is what you have. So you want to make sure that any used engine that goes in that vehicle, you look down into the oil filler cap or pull the valve cover off and see what quality of oil is there, and see if it's all coked up. If it is, you don't want a motor that's has a bunch of gook in it. You know where I'm going?
Sure.
Okay. All right, my friend.
Well, do you have one more second here?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I tried to drain the oil. I did drain the oil just to see if I could even get new oil in there to where it would have some viscosity and I could drive it down to the shop. And I drained it out, and it's just still very, very loud. But is it usual for a blown head gasket just to go bonkers just as quickly as that did? And is it like you say, I mean, you don't know until I really get into it a little bit, and I'll definitely have somebody check into the noise and where it's coming from. But to actually peel it apart and repair the head gasket, and could the noise be caused simply by, the oil water mix by one cylinder not getting any viscosity to that cylinder? Is that what the likely cause of it, just the sudden noise is?
That is the reason that I want you to listen to the rocker arm, because a lifter could be damaged or could be stopped up because of that and be the only lifter that's bad. Now, obviously, you wouldn't go in there and put one lifter in it, but that would help you to better know the overall condition of that engine. But ultimately, until you take it apart, you're not going to know. But I still say it warrants, it being your situation, warrants using a stethoscope to see if it's upper cylinder noise or deep noise in the bottom end. If it's in the bottom end, you're done. If it's in the bottom end,
gotcha.
You got water, you're done. Don't let anybody fool you. You cannot restore. The new has been driven off this vehicle. It has damage inside, and it will never be the same. And if a shop says they can rebuild your engine, don't even go there, because it just doesn't make sense. So anyway, go get a stethoscope.
Totally what's a ballpark on a blown head gasket repair if it's only that? Something like that.
I don't know that I'd repair the blown head gasket. You'd have to pull the head off and see if the cylinder's damaged. See, it depends on how far. It depends on how far you drove it and how hot it got. Because the only reason a head gasket would be a lift off the block, the head will be if the head's warped and it takes the pressure off the gasket and the gasket blows. I mean, except for time, and of course this is a 91 model automobile. So again, there are so many scenarios here, but until you take it apart, you're not going to know. A ballpark, anything less than $4,000 with a guaranteed engine is a good investment, installed out the door with new mounts and oil. I'll be back. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have spare money for them. When a heater core starts to fail, it can be costly depending on location, maybe $1,000 even. When a heater core leaks, it usually comes on gradually with a smell of coolant and a film on the glass that keeps returning. Common leaks are the glued seals on the plastic tanks. This represents a perfect opportunity to use K-Seal, as it can be poured into the cooling system and driven right away. And K-Seal remains in the system, so it can prevent future leaks as well. We recently used K-Seal on a Honda to stop a heater core leak. We never experienced the smell of coolant, but we had to regularly clean the inside windshield glass to remove that film. It doesn't take more than a few drops from a leaking heater core to cause an unsafe film on the glass. After using K-Seal, it stopped. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million. that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great program today. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Johnson Controls, the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries, which are built to power start-stop technology, backup cameras, entertainment systems, and all the other electrical demands of vehicles today. You can learn more at autobatteries.com. Now, let's go to Texas, take a call from Mike. Mike, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Hello.
Good morning, Mike. You're on the air.
Okay, I'm Lawrence. You misunderstood me. But thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, I've got a 17 Nissan Versa. And when I turn my heater on, let's just say if it's cold outside, it fogs up. And then if it's not real cold and I turn my heater on, I can turn just the heater part on, and it does fine. But if it's real cold outside, I have to keep my defroster on. And then sometimes, I was wondering if there could be the heater core, because sometimes when I get out of my car, I smell antifreeze. But I check it, and I've checked, I don't know how many times, but I don't see it. It's not leaking on the ground. I go up on the hood and check to see if I can find any leaks or anything, and I can't find anything.
So
and I was just wondering if that could be my heater core.
Well, okay, yes and no. The description that you're providing for me, with the odor of coolant, which has its own little place in life, it describes perfectly a leaking heater core. But you say you haven't added any coolant whatsoever to the reservoir, and can you tell me if the coolant level is exactly as it was 2 weeks ago or a month ago?
Well, I added just a little bit.
Wait now. So you have had to add some coolant.
Yeah, a little bit. It wasn't that much.
Well, a little bit goes a long way. So, Mike, here's my question to you. Are you driving? Make sure that we have the right. You're not. What is your name? Because Mike is on the list up here.
Lawrence.
Lawrence. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, I don't know how Hannah got Mike. Doesn't make a difference. Now I want to know: is this a 2017 Nissan Versa?
Yes, sir.
Did you buy it new?
No, sir. It had 9,000 miles on it when I got it.
And where did you buy the car?
I bought it here in Marshall at one of the used car dealerships, because they have a dealership down in Louisiana, too, not far from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Well, the first thing that I would do is I would go back to the... how long have you had this car?
I've had it for about 7 months.
Okay. Well, do you have a shop that performs regular maintenance for you? Do you have a shop there in your local area that you trust?
No, sir, I haven't. No, sir.
Okay. Do you have a PIN? I'm going to give you a website where you can find a shop in your area, because there's a test that must be performed on your vehicle, because what you're describing to me just begs to be a leaking heater core. I doubt very seriously the heater core is leaking, but you could have a hose or a water control valve or something there that okay, he's just getting a pencil and paper, I guess. Okay, Mike. Lawrence. Lauren. It's Lauren, I think it is. So here's the site. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. asashop.org, and like a service shop, ASA. And ASA stands for Automotive Service Association, of which I'm a proud member. And you go to, there in Texas, you go to asashop.org, and you put in your zip code, which obviously you know what that is, and 4 or 5 or 6 surrounding area shops will pop up, and you choose 1 or 2 that's close to you and convenient. And you call them before you go there, and you say, can you pressure test and my car, I suspect that there's, I smell coolant, I've got vapor on the windshield, can you test this car? And then you'll have a connection, and that's what I'd recommend that you do.
All right.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for calling, Lawrence.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. So that's important to know. I just can't imagine a car with 9,000 miles on it having a heater core leak, but what I know. I only got 47 years in the business. 888-227-2546. I'm going to go to Mike in New York, but before I do, I want to go back to Oregon, because a couple of callers ago, we had a call from Oregon. Well, I want to reach out to Lee Busey in Gresham, Oregon. Lee called me this week, folks, to tell me he had found a 63 Ford Fairlane. Seems he heard me talking about my first new car and that I'd love to have it back. Well, that's true. He got me all excited, and he and I were on the phone, and we toured the dealership, not in Oregon, but in New Jersey, online, that had that car for sale. Unfortunately, that car was a Galaxy, big Ford, not a Fairlane, so it wasn't what Lee thought that it was, and it wasn't the car that I wanted, but it doesn't matter, because I really enjoyed talking with Lee last Wednesday, so I wanted to give a special thank you to Lee Busey in Gresham, Oregon, for thinking of me and finding that car. And folks, the car that I was specifically talking about was a 1963 and a half high-performance 289 Fairlane. Mine was red, of course, and it was a terrific automobile that I abused, and I wish I had it back. I would apologize and restore it. Okay, let's go to New York again. Mike, thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey, sir.
I'm calling from Binghamton. How are you?
Fine, sir. How about yourself?
Good. Hey, 2014 Lexus GX 460. So 50,000 miles.
Okay.
In a flushed transmission.
Okay.
My question is, take a Lexus, have them flushed out, but normally you would drop the pan and replace the filter too.
Not normally.
Is it necessary to do that?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Great.
And here's the thing, and here's why. If you stay ahead of the curve, which means you don't wait until the transmission fluid is trashed and so oxidated that it turns into slime or into a dark, oxidized, burned fluid. If you stay ahead of that curve, the filters of today are not like the filters that they were of yesteryear. In other words, for instance, Chrysler had like a cotton filter, and on a good day, you service one of those cars, and the filter would restrict and stop up because it was like a cotton or a felt material. Today they use, for lack of a better word, a screen. There's not even a filter in there, and the screen allows a better flow, and the pan is deeper on a lot of occasions. So if there's any sediment, it settles and stays in the bottom of the pan. And what we use is on 99% of all of our pre-repair procedures, which is a transmission fluid exchange, we use a machine, and I'm sure the dealer did the same thing on your 14 Lexus, that exchanges the fluid as it travels out of the transmission in the cooling line, and as it goes out, new fluid goes in. So you get about probably 95% of the fluid is exchanged and does a great job. And if you do that every 50,000 miles, not only will you more than likely never have a transmission problem, well, I don't say never, but rarely, if ever, do you, and you'll stay ahead of the curve. And of course, I'm surprised that who decided that you were going to change the fluid on this transmission?
I did. I had told you a while back about towing the bolt on it.
Yeah.
Last fall. I had around 35,000 miles, and I only towed it twice to the lake and back.
Right.
But I'm kind of a little detailed on staying on top of this.
Well, I'll tell you.
I'll probably just have Lexus just go through every single fluid.
Yeah, I would. You're a man after my heart, because I will tell you that is the most proactive, inexpensive maintenance, and I hesitate to use the word maintenance because car owners think that maintenance, which, by the way, maintenance is incomplete because it's obsolete. And by that, we don't use the M word at my facility because most car owners, most consumers, forever, and today even, think that maintenance is changing the oil and filter every 5,000 or 3,000 miles. Oh, have you taken care of this car? And Mike, this is a loaded question that I've asked a lot of people. I'm giving away one of my secrets. I'll have someone call in with 150,000 miles or so on their vehicle, and they've taken it to a shop, and they want $2,000 to repair this, and this, and is it worth it, or what do you think? And is that a good price? The first question I ask, well, yeah, has this been a good car? And here's the catch. You'll get a kick out of this, and a lot of you folks, this is going to catch you right between the eyes. Has this been a good car? Yeah, Bobby, I've got 150,000 miles and never had it in a shop. And then there's a big silence there, and then they realize, wait a minute, I have not had it except for oil and filter changes. I've never had it in the shop for what you're doing here. So by all means, change those fluids. Stay on top of the fluids and the tire pressures and wiper blades and what have you, and you'll enjoy that car for miles to come. So you're on the right program there, and I really appreciate you calling today. Any other questions?
Yeah, real quick. When they changed the radiator fluid, I know they have additives that change the boiling point. Because when I tow with it or anything like that, will that be any benefit?
No, you're mistaken there. The additives the additives that we put in radiators do not affect the boiling point. The coolant, the 50-50 mix, controls the boiling point and the freezing point. The additives are for either conditioners, or there's another additive called water wetter, and it is an emulsant. Sort of like a water wetter, or Royal Purple has the same thing called purple ice.
That's what I found. Okay.
That's made to eliminate any bubbles that may be in the radiator. In other words, you know how you spray water on the windshield of a car and it bubbles off, and you have, or on a hood, and if you've got it waxed, you'll have little bubbles of water, and where the water is not, the hood will be dry, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, if the interior of your cooling system has bubbles, i.e., for every smidgen of surface area on the radiator, in the radiator, that has bubbles, that's not transferring heat from the coolant liquid to the metal part of the radiator to be dissipated by the cooling fins of the radiator to the air. So a water wetter dissolves or sheets and covers and makes all of the surface area. Okay, it's a surface tension reducer or eliminator. So if you sprayed, if you like Windex, if you took the hood of your car, sprayed Windex on one side and didn't on the other, and then sprayed it with water or ran water over it and waited, the Windex would be all sheeted, like when you put an applique, or like when you put in wrapping a car. You see where folks wrap a car, they use Windex or soap,
right?
And then they squeegee it out, and it dries, and it's gone. So it's not really a bar soap. It's a water wetter, and that's the additive package. That's not necessary to use that in your Lexus. You can just use new fluid, and the new coolant will have its own additive packages, because coolant has to have the pH level right, and also there's some problems with voltage. But if you just change it and put regular fluid, and then there are some additives that we add that are conditioners, but they're not water wetters. But if you want to add a water wetter, it doesn't hurt anything in any car, period. You got it?
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Bobby.
You're welcome.
Have a great
Thanks
day.
for calling. You as well.
Bye-bye.
Let's go to Stan. Stan, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for your call.
Bobby, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I just want to thank you on behalf of, I bet, a whole bunch of other folks for having those folks from Wheeler Dealer on this morning.
Yeah.
That is just a great catch to interview them, get to hear a little bit more of their story, just having talking to you. I so appreciate what you bring to us about all these interviews from impressive folks.
Well, I thank you, Stan, and to that end, my question to Ant Antstead there and Mike Brewer, my question to him was just because you know this, how far do you go when you're repairing those cars? Because I can tell you, it's a loaded question, because if let's say a car needs a camshaft, well, you put cam and lifters. Let's say an engine is old, and you go in there and you're going to freshen it up, and you put timing chain and cam and lifters and what have you. What about the rocker arms? Well, oh yeah. What about the valve springs? What about the ends of the valve? So you're right. I love to hear that feedback, because it was a great opportunity for us to talk with Mike Brewer and Ant Anstead, the co-host and host of the Wheeler Dealers. And by the way, as you know, this Wednesday, the 11th rather, coming up, they're going to be on the Velocity channel. But hey, Stan, thanks for your call, and as always, good to hear from you.
And I used Case Seal this week, and I have no more drips coming out of my Miata.
Yay!
I appreciate you so much, my friend.
I thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Well, folks, that's about a wrap for today's Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm going to go drive my car. No, I'm not going to go wash it. Why? Because it's raining. And the best thing that I have to say about that is my car has Bosch Icon wiper blades on it, which means I get a clean wipe every time. Next week, same time, same station, Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A, brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Today's question: what makes up your engine's cooling system? The cooling system is a part of the engine that regulates engine temperature and helps prevent breakdown from overheating. A typical cooling system is comprised of the engine's water jacket, a thermostat to regulate flow, a water pump, a radiator that exchanges the heat to the outside air, and the connecting hoses and tubes. The cooling system is designed to remove excess heat to keep the inside of the engine at an efficient operating temperature, approximately 201 degrees Fahrenheit. The cooling system has one major purpose: to ensure that the circulation of the coolant inside the engine can absorb and release heat. The proper mixture of coolant coupled with a high-quality thermostat are critical to cooling system operation. Motorrad offers the best coverage of thermostats and closure caps in the world for virtually any vehicle, on the road or off, leading the way in coverage and service. For more details, go to motorradusa.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma